Recently, Trump made comments about the United Healthcare CEO shooter, Luigi, and he denounced the shooter, basically saying, how can people like this guy, and called them people who have a sickness for liking this guy, which makes sense since, someone of, around his age group recently tried to assassinate him. Now, that's in direct contrast with a lot of libtards within Holly Weirdo. Most recently, Chris Rock made a joke about how, yeah, sure, the guy has a family with kids, but drug dealers get shot. And there's been concerts celebrating this guy, uh, again, throughout Hollywood, where they've been talking about him being attractive or just saluting the guy and his activities. And there have been some idiot conservatives who fell into this idea of, yes, we want to hate him because he's connected to an industry that is very corrupt and profits off of people's life or death situations. But the fact of the matter is, these libtards wouldn't be celebrating this killer if the CEO was a liberal black woman with a family that was a public supporter of Kamala Harris. So you just have to remember the fact that the guy that he kills still represents an archetype that liberals are targeting, which is so called white people, and particularly white people that are seen as privileged, especially when they're rich. Now, as we know, liberal Negroes in particular, they view everybody that's white privilege, even, poor homeless whites. But that's the reality. And I can guarantee you the reactions to Luigi and the CEO's death would be completely different if the CEO was a black woman with a family that's a vocal supporter of the Democrat Party. And again, I really have to highlight that because if it was a black female but they knew she was a Trump supporter, then they wouldn't care. Because, in this election made it clear, even though they will always lead with the racial talk, it's really party over race. It's party over any identity because it's the party that pushes all of the ideologies that they're all about. And so that's why they'll be quick to criticize someone that's LGBTQ, that's black, that's female, if they're a Republican, if they're a known conservative, if they're a Trump supporter, which goes to show you that it's still ideology over everything. And the ideology that they push is overwhelmingly represented by the Democrat Party. Even though we know Republicans are libtards too, but the leading face of the liberal agenda, in America at least, is under the Democrat Party. But yeah, people need to just remember that, or at least ask themselves that question. Well, what if the CEO was a black female that was a public Kamala Harris supporter? Will these same people be celebrating Luigi the way they are, or will they be calling him a racist white supremacist who did this shooting because he was an incel that was a MAGA hat wearer? They wouldn't need any evidence or proof, but the imagery of a so-called white guy killing a black woman that's, a public supporter of Democrats, that would be more than enough to just automatically cast him as a right-wing racist Republican. So again, especially for some of the conservatives have fallen into the hole alongside liberals in celebrating this CEO's death. They need to remind themselves of the fact that they're just celebrating another white guy getting killed. That's what it's really all about because we know it has nothing to do with them being anti the healthcare industry because they're the main ones that are against healthcare reform with RFK Jr. They're the main ones that's been cheerleading Big Pharma, especially since the whole pandemic situation, and the Fauci vaccine. And so, how can you then believe that these are the same people that are now against Big Pharma once again? But in this one particular situation, when it comes to the CEO being killed, no, it's about celebrating, you know, a white dude getting killed and just using the facade of caring about healthcare as a justifiable means to cheerlead and root for it. When again, in reality, flip the race and gender and highlight the political allegiance of the CEO, then we're having a completely different narrative about this Luigi guy. And, you know, he probably will be facing not only a life sentence, but probably the death penalty. They would have it special for him because he would be seen as a symbol of white supremacy.